Alrighty, so we got it back again. Let me share to everybody. This is exacerbating, or exasperating rather. That's the right word. Exasperating. I guess we were talking about Kessel, Malkin, and Sullivan. Let me get back to the show. Well, I promise we will get there. We will get to the finish line. We will get to all of your questions. But I think I've got to much of what I needed to get to. I know you all want to just launch Evgeny Malkin into the sun. And that's really the wrong way to go about this. Really the wrong way to go about fixing the Penguins. Once you subtract Phil Kessel, then you begin to look at the team, what you replace Phil Kessel with. You begin to look at the style, and the style that Sullivan was pushing very much fits Nick Bukestad and Patrick Hornquist and Jared McCann, and especially Sidney Crosby. Jake Gensel can play that style. He can also snipe, so he's a guy you're going to watch over the next couple seasons. Does he adopt, or does he go the Kessel route? He really will come to a fork in the road as well, very much so. Just say it. It's a pain in the ass. Yes, it very much is. But we thank Redbeards for being a wonderful host. This is a Diet Pepsi for now. For now. If nothing else, come on down to happy hour and hey, say you were watching the show and all of the technical difficulties, but you had to come and check out Boneless Hot Wings. All right, so let me get back to the chat here. Unfortunately, I guess every time it resets, I lose the chat. So I apologize. Let's talk a bit about the Penguins' core as well. I really thought long and hard about writing this morning that the Penguins were done, that it was over. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized there's probably 2 more years, maybe 3 or even 4, because Sidney Crosby is Sidney Crosby. And if they can right the ship with Evgeny Malkin, I think that still qualifies as the core. I mean, look, in 2009, the core included Marc-Andre Fleury and Jordan Staal and Chris Letang and Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. Who am I missing? And some of the guys that Chris Kunitz, guys carried on through a couple and a few Stanley Cups. Even if it's down to Malkin and Crosby, I think that still counts as the continuation or the last leg of the Penguins dynasty. Even if Letang goes, I've often wondered, Letang especially, if he looks at the adulation that Marc-Andre Fleury has received in Vegas, if he hears those fans going nuts without tearing down players after every loss, if he sees that, how could he not want to be maybe a part of that? Just straight up here, the Penguins fan base so often picks out players they don't like. So often goes at players instead of situations. It's all this guy's fault. It's all Jack Johnson's fault. Dominic Simone's fault. Evgeny Malkin. They pick the one guy that they don't like, and it becomes like this mob mentality. Let me tighten up on the screen here. We lost that too. How's that? Yeah, you don't want too much of my face, but Again, Redbeards on 6th. We're going to go till 2 o'clock, so keep the questions coming. Good, I'm glad. Dan, do we have prospects from Wilkes-Barre Scranton, or are we pretty much tapped out after the last 2 cups in these past few years? Call it opportunity cost. The Penguins really don't have. Adam Johnson is the closest you're going to see to a prospect in Wilkes-Barre. Johnson, Bluger were the last of the deal. They might. You can't. Don't know what August will bring. Maybe a college free agent comes their way that they didn't expect, or that we don't expect. like a Zach Aston Reese, that has to play into it as well. Maybe they get one of those. But as of right now, I know the bandwagon was big time on Ethan Prow in Wilkes-Barre, but he has a lot more work to do on his skating. He's already in his mid-20s, and he has to do a lot of skating work. That's usually not a good sign. But if he does it, late bloomers, it's not unheard of or out of the question. But call it opportunity cost. The Penguins haven't had draft picks to replenish Wilkes-Barre Scranton. It's bare. They missed the playoffs this year, and they're going to miss the playoffs again next year. It's an unfortunate situation. This is what happens when you win 2 Stanley Cups, trade every first-round draft pick and a lot of your seconds, thirds, etc. All right. The win-now mentality couldn't last. You're exactly right, Aaron. Hey, we caking. I get so frustrated, mad, and depressed when fans come at players for a single mistake rather than looking at the larger picture. I can guarantee you we did not lose the playoffs because of 71 and 81. That's true as well. I've been a little bit hard on Kessel, but the reality is Kessel could have done a lot more in the series. He had a very good Game 1. He didn't follow that up with more low play. He had a couple moments in Game 4. The Penguins needed so much more of that from him. They needed his stick in the battle in the low areas. All right. This has been... no, we've gone from exasperating to almost infuriating here at RedBeards. I know we've got it back, fortunately. Let me take it. No, this is not on RedBeards at all. This is on the program that we use. Don't know why it's crashing like it is today. This is entirely on us. The Wi-Fi actually here is very good. Tell you what, you come here, I'll give you a beer and the password. Amanda asked, what do you see JR doing with Jarry? Will he be traded this offseason? Finally, a really good question, and I wish we had our full audience so I can dive into this. Yes. Tristan Jarry will most likely be traded this offseason when the Penguins have a chance to then look for more goalie depth. He was not a trade candidate at the deadline because, look, if Matt Murray goes down, where Casey DeSmith went down, the Penguins didn't have anybody to step to the fore and be that third goaltender. And as we had seen, any sort of extended playoff runs, the Penguins needed at least 2 goalies. In the case of 17, they needed 3. Mr. Game 1. So, no, they were not going to trade Tristan Jarry, but now they can. They've got time to shop maybe for a veteran who fits that third goalie mold and makes them a little bit more comfortable. I'm typing. There. RedBeard says very good. I was so happy when RedBeards did hop on. What do you say, Len? You want to come on and talk some hockey? Now, see, you hockey fans, the owner of RedBeards here, Len, here. You actually see yourself right there. Former junior hockey coach, Owen Sound, and in Europe as well. Here, grab a seat. You have time?
I got a meeting in about 5 minutes.
Oh, then, okay.
I can't do you any good.
All right, next time.
I had a GM meeting today.
Okay, so
Definitely next time I'll do
I just got Bigfooted. It's okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate RedBeards hosting us here. The food is it's actually like it's really great. It's great bar food. So much in Pittsburgh is. Remember, like 5 years ago in Pittsburgh, had like the restaurant renaissance, and there's so many great little places to eat. They're all gone now. They're all $30 a person. RedBeards is a throwback where you can go get some good bar food downtown, sit down and enjoy yourself without an $8 beer. Not that they don't have them, but you don't always want one. Okay, so I answered the Jarry question. No love for Zach Trotman. He's got some grit and that shot. I'll tell you what. I think Trotman, if he wants to stay, and, you know, sometimes players might see greener pastures elsewhere, Trotman, I think, became the Penguins' 7th defenseman this season. I really was impressed on what we saw from him. He had some NHL experience with Boston previously, but I think he really played his best hockey this season with the Penguins. Very simple, straightforward, puck up. Hit the guy, grab the puck up. There's a lot to be said for that. There really is. In fact, the Penguins might keep 8 defensemen again next season. 1 spare righty, 1 spare lefty. I think that's actually a good way to go. Let's see here. What was wrong with Czar in this series? He was invisible. Amanda, check out PittsburghHockeyNow.com. We talked to Aston Reese yesterday morning, and he told us straight up what was wrong with him. I don't think he was close to 100%. I don't even know if he was close to good enough to play, quite frankly. He said whenever a body got on him, his feet stopped moving, and he really had to reset mentally. So the Islanders playing so tight and so close, they would body him up, and they just took him right out. He didn't power through it like he wanted to. He knew he had to keep his feet moving. He knew it. And you could see in Game 3, he was forcing him, or in Game 4, he was trying to push through that. I think another week, he would have been the Aston Reese that we expected. Do we see Murray? What do I see Murray getting this offseason? I'm not sure what you mean by what does Murray get this offseason. He signed the 3-year contract. So I'm not sure I entirely understand your question. In terms of a new contract? Yes. They can start talking to him on July 1st about a contract for 2020-21. No, I take that back. I'm sorry, it's 21-22, because next season will be 2021. They can start talking to him on July 1st for a contract 21-22. There is some concern in the Penguins organization. I'll give you some more inside dirt here. Those of you who hung through the technical difficulties. The inside dirt is there are some in the Penguins organization that worry that Murray will want too much money. They've got a value on him in terms of where he fits in the game, where he fits in their salary cap structure, what they think he's worth. There is some concern that he's going to want top flight, big-time goalie money. I think 7 is fair for Murray, given the expanding salary cap. I think 7.5. I'm usually low by about $500,000 or $1 million. So if he got 8, I think that's where you draw the line. If he asks for 9, 10 million going forward, then the Penguins get put in a pickle. And you might see something move or someone move on that front. That's the kind of money that Matt Murray wants. Do I think the Penguins lock up Goodbranson? Let me check what is Goodbranson's contract? I know he's making about $4 million. I think he's got another year, right? But yes, I think the Penguins very much would like to keep that kind of presence around. The number of cheap shots that the Penguins took after they acquired Eric Goodbranson. Think of how dramatically that went down. Can you tell me, after the Stadium Series game, in which they had no one to fight back, they acquired Goodbranson 2 days later. Can you tell me a real cheap shot that the Penguins took? And don't tell me Evgeny Malkin and Robert Bortuzzo. Malkin thought it was cheap. Goodbranson, Jack Johnson hit players like that 5 times a game. It was really a matter of how Bortuzzo caught Malkin, I think. I'm looking up Eric Goodbranson's cap when his contract is up. Okay, it's up after next year. I think he's a wait-and-see guy. I think you had him for a couple months. You wait and see till next November, December. If he continues to integrate well and is the guy you want, absolutely. And I think about $4 million, maybe he gets a small raise to 4.5, pending the Penguins salary cap situation. I think that's appropriate, maybe 5 on the high end. All right, a couple more questions here. Or actually a lot more questions. What the hell? I've got the table all afternoon. Although I wouldn't mind if a couple of you stop down, too. Father Dan, is it sinful to pray for the caps to fall on their faces? No. I think you're perfectly justified. Although realize to root for the Capitals to fall on their faces, you now have to root for the Islanders. Malkin had 89 penalty minutes this season. Pettersson was second at 49. How does management weight that stat with his lack of production and age? I don't know that penalty minutes necessarily in totality factor into a player's value. It's the type of penalties. And Malkin's always going to be a guy who takes 20 penalties a year that you just go, oh, what were you thinking? That will be Malkin at 40 years old if he's still playing. In the NHL, the KHL, a beer league in Cranberry, you're just going to go, oh, what were you doing? That's going to be a part of, that's just baked into Evgeny Malkin. I don't know that it's weighted so much at this point as it's just, it's part of Malkin, who is going to be a Penguin next season unless he says it's time to go. And I don't get any impression from anybody we've talked to that that would be the case. Should have kept Reeves if we wanted that role. Oh, I think Branson serves the best of both worlds. I mean, think about this. If you start talking enforcers or guys who can protect, Ryan Reeves is a fourth-line guy who doesn't get to protect unless the coach deploys that fourth line. And so he was playing 5 or 6 minutes a game. Other teams knew this, and they were daring the Penguins to send him out. And it's still, the Reeves factor still worked to a much smaller degree, but with Branson playing 18 minutes, he's out there every other shift, every third shift. You're going to have to deal with him. And if he doesn't deal with you, they know that he'll deal with one of your teammates. Look, even Tom Wilson was on pretty good behavior when the Penguins and Capitals played this season. What do I think of Matt Cullen? I think Matt Cullen has had an extraordinary resurgence to his career. I thought he had a very good year this year. Once they got Daniel Sprong off his line, you notice how the fourth line immediately picked up Zach Aston Reese and the scoring chances and how much better that fourth line was when you had 3 guys playing the same way. Cullen had a wonderful run. And if he were 38, I'd say he's probably back next year. But at 42, and actually, he's still back at the bar. The guy from Channel 11 over there wouldn't come and talk to us. No, it was really cool that Chase came down. We'll buy him a beer, too. Cullen's 42. He told WPXI earlier in the year that this was his last year. I see no reason that it's not. His family stayed back in Minnesota this year. They didn't come with him to Pittsburgh. They gave him that 1 year. Go sow your last oats. Get it out of your system. What was in Rocky Balboa? You got 1 round left in your life, Rock. And I think this year was it. The way he spoke last night was past tense. Cullen has been a joy to cover. He's always honest. And I think the Penguins have enjoyed him tremendously. If he chooses to, he's going to be a fantastic assistant coach, and maybe, if he has the aptitude for it, a head coach. He commands respect on the ice and in the locker room. You haven't heard the last of Matt Cullen, but I think you have heard the last of Matt Cullen as a player, anyway. The Penguins had Hagelin, Cullen, Hornquist, and Gabranson. How many locker room guys does Pittsburgh need? I'm not sure I understand your question. All of those guys played really well. Oh, Hagelin was gone in November. Remove him from that list. But look, Hornquist and Gabranson and Cullen, those guys did their job. Hornquist was just as snake-bitten as any player I've seen. It happened. He went 2 months, almost 3, without an even strength goal. Can't get over that. But you also have to factor in the Penguins' style of play and how few rebounds were created by them as well. You need to feed the beast with rebounds. The Penguins weren't feeding the beast with Hornquist. This is going to be a very interesting offseason, says Steele Jackson. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're going to see a huge flurry of activity, no pun intended, no Marc-Andre, in June. I think by June you're going to see probably 3. There we go. You're going to see 3 trades. By the draft in June, I think you're going to see Kessel, Ole Mata, and one we don't expect. I think that's where we're headed. The Tampa sweep makes our sweep a little better? No, it doesn't. No. Nope. Just because somebody else fell flat on their face doesn't make the Penguins falling flat. Okay. Do I think Bluger could be a third-line center or better? I think he's better than fourth-line center. Time will tell, and I hate those cliches. I apologize. We are live at Redbeards on 6th Avenue, by the way. Come on down. Bluger will start as the fourth liner. No, in fact, he won't be. Crosby, Malkin, Bukestad. There's your top 3. And then Bluger will be a great fourth-line center. I really like Bluger in the middle. Bluger, and I told